Robin Williams, what an absolute icon. We've all grown up loving him. Everybody has a film that means something to them, whether it's Jumanji, Mrs. Doubtfire, Good Will Hunting, Patch Adams, there's so many, Night at the Museum. And he's just like an incredible man that's a part of most people's lives in some way. So before we talk about this film that Tylor Norwood, who's with me now, has made, I'm so excited to talk about it, but also like feeling quite nostalgic. Let's take a look at the film and then we'll come back and talk some more.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robin Williams!
What's your brain doing when 10,000 people are laughing their heads off?
I'm not a tuna!
The human brain is, an extraordinary 3.5-pound gland. The moment you think you understand it, it comes out with something else.
Tylor, as a filmmaker, when somebody comes to you, the wife of Robin Williams, because access is so key to a documentary, and says, "Mate, I want you to make this film," that is so rare and doesn't happen. Are you excited, daunted? What are you thinking?
Well, yeah, we don't have actors, so we do need people to come and be in the movies. And yeah, when Susan came to me, she wanted to make a scientific documentary that she wasn't going to be in. So there was a bit of sort of understanding why she was coming to me, because I had no interest in Lewy Body Dementia, which is all she wanted to talk about. And so we kind of missed each other. But before I let her off the phone, I was like, what's going to sustain you through the process of making this movie? Because it's going to be a long process and it can't just be that you love science. And she was like, well, it's what Robin had. It's what he went through and what we went through together. And I was like, oh, can you tell me about that? And then we talked for about 45 minutes and I said, okay, if that's the movie, I would love to be a part of it, but you have to be in it and you have to tell me all the hard things you just told me, but to camera.
The breaking news, actor Robin Williams is dead at the age of 63.
They believe that the Bay Area resident committed suicide.
There was a lot of media speculation
On Robin Williams' mind before his death, money.
He's broke or he's depressed or he's just given up.
The last movie, it was clear to all of us on that set that something was going on with Robin.
There was something eroding within him.
I was called in to go over the coroner's report. It was the beginning of understanding what had really gone on.
You're now making a film about somebody you're a fan of, okay? So impartiality, firstly, trying not to be a fanboy, thinking about the narrative. Also, you're building a relationship with Susan, who's his wife, who's lovely, and you want to honor her. So, Tylor, how difficult was it for you to balance the fanboy with, what if this is a bit uncomfortable to show, but I feel like I have to? Like, how did you work that bit out?
Yeah, so you kind of got to believe that you're being trusted with something. So so as these people, there's 17 of them total, David E. Kelley and Sean Levy, who are big Hollywood kind of heavyweights in terms of the things that they've made. Going into David E. Kelley's office, he had like 30 Emmys stacked up, and you're just kind of like, so you have this real sense of people coming forward, trusting you with a story, and you have to do right by that. And then you really connect with, once they do give you their stories, that it's Robin Williams, and that you want to connect to giving him some justice, right? As you start understanding, like, oh, there's a whole nother story that I'd never known before that I get to be a part of telling. That part is super exciting, and it does allow you to bring the energy of your care for Robin into it, but also to check that and kind of balance it with the care that other people are bringing. So you're all saying, we want to do right by Robin Williams, and then I want to do right by these people who've made this sacrifice of coming forward, because David E. Kelley and Sean Levy have nothing to gain by putting themselves in a film that talks about something difficult, right? Like they're very happy to hang back.
You mentioned Sean Levy, who obviously we know from, he worked with Robin on A Night at the Museum, but also most recently Stranger Things, hugely successful. But he says this thing in the doc that really, like, there was a few things he said that really kind of made me think, oh.
I remember him saying to me, I don't know what's going on, I'm not me anymore.
It really amazed me that Robin could walk or move at all.
People who are incredibly brilliant can tolerate degenerative diseases better. Robin Williams was a genius.
He was always able to power through it, and he'd become this guy that you knew, remembered, and loved.
The way that he was able to battle the inner turmoils, he was a freaking warrior.
It no longer feels loyal to be silent about it, but maybe more loyal to share.
Yeah, what Sean said was that he thought it was loyal to keep this secret, right? I think sometimes as friends, you'll do that for your friend, keep things secret. But he said, it's more loyal to tell the truth. It's going to serve Robin better to let this truth out. And I think that's what we saw across the board from all the people who cared about Robin during the making of this film. And yeah, that was the thing that gave me this intense sense of responsibility that you better get this right, because not only do these people care about him, but it's Robin Williams. And that never left my mind during the making of the film.
You made me smile, you made me cry, and you made me go into a place that's really difficult when you start thinking about health and immortality, and just like there are things that can happen and none of us have a clue. So it felt like the documentary went on so many different journeys. There was Robin the star, there was Robin the husband, and then there was Robin who was very, very unwell but had no idea how to help himself. He was doing everything possible, but it felt like he was losing his mind. To manage to navigate those 3 different storylines and make it flow, God, your edit must have just been a nightmare. How did it come together? Did it change during filming? I mean, how did it come together?
Well, so yes, that's a great question. I would say it was a very clear story, actually, which was very nice. It was a clear story from the beginning that this was a person who had this incurable brain disease. It played out over the course of the last 2 years of his life. All 17 of these people who come forward speak about it in the film very passionately, that this was something that they were all deeply affected by as they watched Robin struggle with this. So in that way, it was clear, but the balance of saying, let's do this journalistic thing. Let's tell people this story about something they've never heard about one of the most famous people ever. But also, we can never forget, it is Robin Williams. You have to show some Aladdin stuff. You have to show some Good Will Hunting. Like you have to bring out Dead Poet Society and show him improving and just remind people exactly how much of a genius he was. And then that actually fed into the idea of this neurological disease that he had, that the 2 things were working against each other, and that he also sort of kept his specialness, the thing that we all loved about him. Yeah. That never went away. He always stayed kind and generous right to the end.
He was blessed with what his heart was capable of in the midst of fear. He wanted to help people be less afraid.
Self goes away. Ego, bye-bye. The thing that matters are others. That's what life is about.
And we got to know the love of his life, Susan, his wife. And very intimately, she let you into their home. She shared so much with you, which I think is just beautiful, but it also shows how much you guys connected. What was it about her, do you think? I know she was crucial. You couldn't have made it without her. But going on this journey and getting such an intimate look into somebody you grew up loving, what was that like, and what did you learn?
Yeah, I think one thing that struck me was that on your hardest day, that's how people should judge you. The way you react to the most difficult things in your life is a really good test of how much you've done in terms of grow yourself and be more present and be more kind. So to have a report from his wife, from the person he loved most, who was with him right to the end of his life and saw things that were painful and beautiful all the way up into that, it was really a gift. And it made me think about my own relationships and the people I love and the way that I would hope to be there for them, the way they were there for each other. So to see Robin and Susan sort of understand their love, understand their care for each other, and the way that they stayed present through something so difficult and really unimaginable, that was powerful and beautiful, and really the gift of the film for me. To be able to walk away and have had all the things that don't make it into the movie that I get to know about these beautiful people, and to understand Robin, and not as just a mega movie star, but as a loving husband and somebody who was so kind and so giving.
Yeah, I liked learning about the cycle rides and things like that. It's really interesting just to see what, the normal things that we all do that were part of his routine. And also I found so much comfort in the fact that this dude kept trying to help himself constantly, having a routine to try and get himself well and better. I really admire that, his work ethic, and just that definitely came across. The other thing as well is he's got children, he's got 3 kids, and you tell a story about their dad. Obviously his wife has given you permission and has asked you to do it with her. But what's that process like? Do you get in touch with them and let them see it before it goes and gets commissioned?
Yeah, that's a big thing, is you kind of want the blessing from as many people as you can get. And so we definitely went to his children, and they declined to participate, which was totally their right? You want to give everybody the right to privacy, and especially about something that's so difficult to talk about. I think in the end, the reason that Susan spoke and the reason that it was so important to get her voice is because she was the person who was with him every day during that time. So of course we wanted his children. At one point we were hoping Eric Idle would be involved with the project from Monty Python, and there was some chance that he might, but in the end he couldn't do it. And you just completely understand that, because these are people who loved this man, right? And they lost him. And if they don't feel like they can contribute something really important to it, like then it's not worth the pain that goes involved in talking about something difficult. But I think for Susan, it was really like, this was her husband. This was the man she loved more than anyone else. And she wanted to do something right by him. And I do think the people who felt like they had something to contribute that was so valuable that it was worth them being uncomfortable, those were the people that came forward and really made a difference. Like, to understand on Robin's last night on Earth that he went to go talk to this guy, John Hepper, who lived down the street from him, and he asked him for a hug. And like, they had this beautiful moment as like men, and like understanding that Robin was suffering and going through something so difficult. I just think that's such a beautiful thing, as anyone who loved Robin, any fan of his, to get an insight into those beautiful things, and the people who did step up and say, I think I have something to contribute that people need to know. I think the right people spoke to us, and the ones who didn't, I hope that they can watch the movie and get some peace and some understanding, because it's also a record for them as well.
My husband had unknowingly been battling a deadly disease.
Lewy body dementia is a devastating illness, increases anxiety, self-doubt, causes delusions that have never been present in someone.
As somebody who loves him as well, like for everything he's brought to, you can't think of film and TV without Robin Williams in some way. I think in a way I'm glad you made this, because I didn't like the way I felt when we heard he died and he'd taken his own life, and the man that made us all happy, the thought of him being unhappy, and you kind of sort of reversed. I hope other people feel the same thing. You made me feel differently about his death, which I think is really important, because it just sometimes clouds everything else, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's so beautiful, and thank you for saying that. It is the biggest hope of the film, is that you can give people a sense of what actually happened to him. And the thing that's so beautiful about it is the stories that came out when he first passed. They didn't have the autopsy report yet. People didn't know that he had this, and he didn't even get a diagnosis during his life. So reporters were kind of forced to grasp and kind of come up with what they thought might be possible. And I think that left us all feeling a little uneasy, and it didn't make sense, but it felt sort of wrong in a way. Like, I didn't watch his movies for quite some time because it just felt difficult. But this film, it feels true. Like, you finally have an understanding of what actually happened to him. And there's something about that when you actually have the truth. It's really clarifying. And the beautiful thing is that the truth is that, like, he was always better than we thought he was, right? Like the idea of, like, all of his friends report universally that if you loved his movies, the guy behind the movies was way better. And so that made so much more sense to me. It made so much more sense that, like, when I try and do something great, like, only a little bit of it comes through, right? Like, you know, like, it's the person behind that always is going to be better than the final product. And that made sense to me. It gave me an intense sense of pride to be able to, like, say, I know Robin Williams now, and that I get a chance to give that to people, and they can have that experience because of what these other people have offered. It's a real sort of celebration of the truth and of who Robin really was. And so it's difficult to watch, I think, at times, but I do believe in the end, people have a profound experience, and it's a beautiful sensation of, my highest hope is that people, as the credits are rolling, will just cut off the movie. Like, please don't watch the credits. Go, just as soon as it's like credits start rolling, go watch Mrs. Doubtfire. Go watch Good Will Hunting. Go watch, you know, Jumanji or you know, Good Morning Vietnam, or you know, it was all the beautiful films that he was a part of and the beautiful artwork that he gave. Because he has that great thing at the end of the movie where he wrote, he wants to help people be less afraid. I mean, that for me was like, what more could you hope for from a hero, from a person who meant so much to all of us, than for them to actually, in the quiet of the night, when they're just writing in a book about, like, a little prayer to the universe, what they're hoping, just that they're hoping that they can give a gift to others. That, like, his biggest hope was not that he become more famous or that he, like, get into some other, he wanted to be of service in a really profound way to everyone.
I can feel the joy from you, and that's so good, because it is a roller coaster for a documentary. And congratulations, because what a journey to go through and make this. And please tell Susan as well that I said congratulations, and thank you for being willing to share stuff that we didn't know, because it absolutely honors our memory of the man, because we know a little bit more about him now and a bit more of an understanding of what he was going through. My final question is this: as a fan, As a fan, Tyler, maybe it didn't make the edit, maybe it got pulled out, but was there like a real gem moment in making this? Something that you were like, wow, and you learned something so very special about Robin, aside from the things that you've already kind of said and mentioned and we've watched?
Yeah, I don't even know if Susan would want me to say this. I think she would laugh about it. But when they were dating and they started kind of like, you know, he'd start sleeping over a bit and they were having like this kind of early courtship thing. She was having trouble with raccoons in her backyard. And he would go into the backyard and urinate. It was just like, and he was like making these like, take that, and he was like, it's just the idea that he was completely goofy. Like he was just such a fun, goofy guy. And like, that he would just like, that a super megastar guy was like peeing in her backyard because he thought it would like ward off the raccoons. It's just like, that's Robin Williams. Like that is just a guy who like defies definition. Like he's just such a roundhouse of like genius and complete nut. Like I thought that was just so, I was like, perfect.
Yeah. Did he get rid of them though? Did he get rid of the raccoons? Did she tell you?
I think he was just trying to give her a sense that he was doing his best. I don't know if that's a real thing that we should tell people works.
But you've got to know that Susan's like a bit of a bad girl, that she thought, I'll still go out with this guy, because some women would have thought, weirdo, what are you doing? Leave me alone. But she was like, no, I'm still cool with him. This could still work.
Hey, this is totally tracks. Yeah, they were total goofballs together too. That's something I think there's a little bit in the movie, but that's another. Yes, Robin was the most fun, like, and she is the most fun, and you totally understand where they connected and just like giggled together.
Well, listen, thank you so much for giving us an insight and making this documentary. I hope a lot of people get to see it, especially the fans, because it will absolutely make them feel lots of different emotions, but just have a different sense of the man being honoured. And for you as a filmmaker as well, like, I hope this allows you to have a springboard to do other things, because this is a huge moment for you as well, Tyler.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've got some other things cooking for sure, but yeah, it was a total honor and a privilege to be a part of this film and to have the trust of the people who are involved in it.
Okay, you rock. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
The thing that matters are others. That's what life is about.